LFO, the light funky ones on Magic and Summer Girls are nowhere to be found. Well, they are. They're called ski bunnies now.
Yeah, they're not. I don't know. Are they summer girls? Do summer girls become ski bunnies? I guess some of them do, right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's ski bunnies that become beach blondes.
That's true.
Leave it alone. Mike Barrett,
Moving on.
Our guest every Tuesday morning at this time. We talk about your insurance, how you get the most out of it, whether it's for your business, whether it's for your car, whether it's for your home, whether you're a renter, and so on and such forth. Mike, I have an idea.
Go for it.
It scares people when I say I have an idea.
Well, that's to be expected, yes.
Okay, people spend, on average, 8 hours of work with coworkers, and if they work side by side, they carry on conversations to pass the day.
Absolutely.
Nothing to do with work, like why that copper part didn't come out the way it was supposed to in the machine shop. I'm talking. A lot of folks, like when they get a car, they're thinking about changing their insurance. They talk with their friends, they talk with their family members, they talk with their coworkers.
Yeah.
Now, you've been coming in here for a couple, 3, 4, 5 years now, and something I can remember in our conversations is those are probably not some of the most reliable people to talk to when it comes to your insurance needs.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
Right, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because let's say your coworker Richard has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 speeding tickets, a couple of parking violations, has horrible credit score, and he's telling you his insurance is X number of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you've got, let's say, Lisa, who's 24 years old, doesn't have any kids, has pristine credit, and her insurance rates are this.
Yeah. That's apples to oranges.
But yours are different, right? Am I right in this thinking?
You are.
Okay, so that's my thought.
So many variables.
Let's go with that.
I think the stage that we're going to, it happens all the time, right, where people shop for insurance, but we're starting to see it maybe a little more aggressively in this, what we call a hard market of insurance now, where the pricing may not be as competitive for what you currently have as it has in the past, and you may, as the cost of everything goes up, the thought of looking certainly increases. So some tips and tricks if you're shopping your insurance. Talking to your friends, certainly not a bad idea, but when you're talking to your friends, don't compare their cost to your cost, because it will be an apples to oranges scenario. They may own a home, you may not. You may be a renter. You may not have great credit. You may have a driving infraction. You may have a higher symbol vehicle than they do. You may have totally different coverages than they have. Lower or higher liability, lower or higher deductibles, medical payments or no medical payments. There's so many things there, right? So unless you're actually pulling out your declarations pages and going side by side, there's a lot of things that can be missed. But when it's time to shop for your insurance, the biggest thing that I encourage people to do, there was this long time ago, there was always this thought that if you were shopping your insurance and let's say you're calling me up, Jeff, and you're like, Mike, I have insurance and I'm shopping it. I want to see what my price options might be. And I'll say, okay, who are you with? I don't know. What are your limits? I don't know. What are your deductibles? I don't know. We get that more than you would expect. And so we're kind of quoting blind here, right? So we could be quoting limits that are totally different than what you have. And two things can happen there. We're either quoting higher or lower, so we could be much more expensive or much less. So you could be really happy, and then when we're selling you something that's less than what you have, that's not a lateral move. That's a bad step.
You have no idea how close you were to describing me. Outside of the fact, I can tell you my company, but I don't know the other stuff. With all the conversations we have, I know how important it is.
It is. It's very important. And people used to have the mindset like, well, I can't tell you that, or I'm not sharing that information with you, or I'm not emailing you or dropping off a copy of my current coverage, because if you see that, that's going to have an impact on how you quote me. And I can tell you nothing is further from the truth. Because we don't have a sharp pencil at our office. The rate is the rate. So I'm shopping you with all my companies, and I'm finding the one that's going to give you the best rate. So you showing me what you have for coverage and cost is not going to impact adversely at all. In fact, it may motivate. It may be the opposite of response, where it will motivate me to work so hard to find something that'll be competitive. But, the biggest concern that I have with folks when they don't know their coverage, a lot of folks don't know who they have for an insurance company. Most of them know who they have for an agent. And I think that's pretty awesome. And I think it's pretty admirable for the agents out there, for their client to go, I'm insured with X. Well, they're naming their agent, which is kind of cool, right? But it's important to know what you have, because a lot of times, like I've had people over the years, if they've canceled their coverage with us, we try to find out why. nicely, right? Because we want you to do what you want to do, so we have no bad feelings. We want to thank you for your business. And a lot of times the answer I'll get back from folks will be, I found coverage that was better for less. And I go, I hope so. I really do. I genuinely mean that. I hope so. I hope you found coverage for less. My concern is maybe you went from a $250 deductible to a $1,000 deductible. My concern is maybe you went from $350,000 coverage in your house to $250,000 coverage in your house. Maybe you went from a $500,000 liability to a $100,000 liability. Maybe you didn't, and I hope you didn't. But that's why it's just so crucial to know what you have for coverage so that you are getting a true comparison. Because if you're not, you're just comparing price, and that's not the proper way to shop.
Well, if you want to compare a banana and an apple, it's not going to happen.
It's not. And it's about being protected, right? Certainly you want to leverage your cost. We all do. We want to make sure that we're not overspending for our insurance. At the same time, you want to not be sacrificing your protection that's in front of you. Remember, insurance is there to help it so that you don't have a huge out-of-pocket expense if you have an accident with your car or a loss at your house. You want to make sure that your liability, if you are negligent and cause bodily injury or property damage to somebody, that you have enough coverage from the company so that they can pay out appropriately and not run out of money and then say, we're done, now it's your turn. Because that's what that is, right? They're going to come after you and say, well, we're not happy with the settlement. We got $250,000 from your insurance company. That's not enough. So what do you got? And that's just kind of a scary thing to think about.
Well, the examples we've used were home and auto. Now, another thing to consider, and I remember this from one of our past few conversations here. We came up the holiday season, and some folks may have gotten some things that are of some value.
Oh, yeah.
Another important thing to do is to let your insurance company know if you want to put coverage on it. Don't just assume that because you possess it that it's going to be covered, right?
Yeah.
Because that could make a big change. Like if you end up with let's say
let's save a $5,000 ring. That's
exactly what just came to my head.
All
okay,
right.
So you get a $5,000 ring, you want to put insurance on it. Don't just assume that because you own it.
Yeah, because you got that $5,000 ring for Christmas, and all of a sudden somebody comes and steals it, and you file a claim with your insurance company. You find out that the sublimit for theft of jewelry maxes out at $1,500. And that's the most you're going to get for your $5,000 ring. That's kind of scary. So certainly worth a dialogue for the valued items like that. Absolutely.
All right. As with all things in life, communications is the key. And if folks want to chat with you, how can they do it?
Easy. Give us a call, 748-5224. Find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com. Google, Facebook, and YouTube. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agency.
And tune in Tuesday mornings.
Absolutely.
8:35.
When I don't have COVID. Absolutely.
We'll talk good policies.
All right.
Mike, we'll see you in a week. Folks, coming up, we've got music from Edie Benjamin.